now let's implement the equals method. So the equals method is quite an involved method to write for container classes like this. So we're going to spend a lot of time setting up tests. And the first test we're going to set up is test ABC equals null. Okay, and we want the result of this test to be false. So we're going to assert false that, and we're just going to write this out explicitly. We're going to write out that the ABC stack equals null. Okay, and if you write that, anytime you write null and it equals, you'll get a warning. Object equals null is never true. Yeah, it's never true if you implement it, implement the equals method correctly, but not necessarily. If you don't want to see that warning, you can always do something like, it doesn't even have to be a regular object. Let's make it a stack. You can always do something like stack string s equals null, and then just write s here. That will get rid of that warning. Okay, and so a stack should never equal, well, nothing should ever equal anything that's null, as the warning said, but you have to implement it correctly. So we'll focus on testing ABC. So test ABC equals self. We're just going to assert true. All objects should equal themselves. Equals stack ABC. Okay, so that should be true. And what else? I'm just going to start copying and pasting these. Copy, paste. Okay, test stack ABC equals self. How about test ABC equals non-stack? Okay, because equals takes an object by definition. So what if we pass in something that's not an object? What if we pass in something that is a string? In fact, what if we just for kicks pass in a string that is the toString method of the stack? Okay, it should not equal that. Those two things should be equal. A stack is not equal to a string, so that is false. All right, and a lot of these are going to be false. So let me copy this. Okay, so test ABC equals non-stack. How about if we test that ABC equals different? Okay, I'm going to start adding ABC 6 to this because that's important in the equality test. If we have a different ABC 6. Okay, so these two stacks should actually be equal. Okay, even though they are different stacks, they still have the same contents and capacity, so we want them to be equal. So we've got to create a different ABC6. So I'm just going to do this, copy this. We're going to create it in the exact same way. But instead of calling this stack ABC6, I'm going to say stack string. Don't want to call it ABC6. I want to call it ABC6 duplicate, ABC6 duplicate, ABC6 duplicate, ABC6 duplicate, and here it'll be ABC6 duplicate. And this should equal true. Okay. If you're really consistent, you might want to put all the assert false tests together and all the assert true tests for equals method together, but I'm not that organized, so I'll just keep going. And let's see. I want to ABC. Okay, ABC6 equals ABC10. Okay, so those are different stacks. I'm not going to put different there. I'll call this ABC10, and instead of having a capacity of 6, I'll put a capacity of 10. However, it's going to have the same contents. Those should not be equal. Just because they have the same contents, if they have different capacities, they are different stacks. Okay, so those should not be equal. And again, I got to change this to false. You got to be really careful here. Make sure you're doing this right. How about ABC equals something with just AB in it? How about we have something with a capacity of 6, but it just has 2 elements, AB in it? Okay. Six. I mean, there's a lot of ways that these can be not equal. And of course, I want to take that third element out of there. I want this to be false. This is AB6. So those stacks should not be equal. All right. And how about 2 empty stacks? So let's see. Yeah, we'll just do 2 different empty stacks. Okay, so that should be actually, that's going to be similar to this one. 2 empty stacks should be equal to each other as long as they have the same capacity. Okay, so test empty 3 equals different empty 3. All right, this is going to be stack empty 3 dupe. New list stack with a capacity of 3, and we don't have to put that stuff in there because they're going to be empty. And this is empty 3 equals stack empty 3 dupe. And those should be true. I think I'm going to also test the empty stacks with a different capacity. Those should not be equal. So this will be test empty 3 equals, empty 5, or something like that. So empty 5, and give it a capacity of 5. And we don't want these to be the same, so this should be an assert false. Okay, let's see, what else do we want to do? ABC6 different, and of course if they have different contents they should be different. So I'm going to go back here to this one, and this one I'm going to say test ABC6 equals DEF6. Okay, that's going to be 6, and I'll just actually refactor this. But this is going to equal DEF, and I refactored this to the same thing, and it's overshadowing that, so refactor that again. This should be DEF. But of course this one should be stack ABC6 equals stack DEF6. We don't want those to be equal. Okay, we should be getting close to the end here. Test ABC equals ABC, different ABC. We did that one. Okay, the last test, I think this covers most of the tests I want to do now, but let me just put up a test that I want to be true. Okay, and this is a very important one, but I cannot do it yet. Recall that I said that we're going to have at least two different implementations of stack. One is going to be a list stack, one is going to be an array stack. Well, if you have a list stack with the same objects, with the same elements and the same capacity as an array stack that has the same elements and same capacity, then those should come out equal. All right, and that's a very important test. We can't do that yet because we've only implemented the list stack, or we're only beginning to implement the list stack. So, but I want to put that test up here. And I'm going to say test ABC6 list-based equals ABC6 array-based. Okay, and these two stacks should be equal. So I'm going to go up to, I'll just copy this here. So if this is an array-based stack. Let's just call this ABC array. And this will be implemented as an array stack. Okay, it's giving me an error because, oh, we don't have an array stack yet. So it should be giving me an error. But I want this to be true. Yeah, and that's very important. Those stacks should be equal to each other. So that's a very important test to have if you have multiple implementations. As we don't have multiple implementations, I'm going to comment that out. All right, but I'm going to comment it back in later when we do have multiple implementations. Okay. Test available. Okay, and I think we've got a bunch of good tests for the equals methods, and just for kicks, we will run this and watch it fail. Okay.